Dick's oldest grandson, Sean's oldest son. Granny asked me to say a few things today. I'm kind of get my mind around it. It's kind of hard, not gonna lie, to come up with words how to describe my papa. Anybody that knows him knows he was never met a stranger. Treated everyone like family. No one knows that more than Kevin, Cassara, Emily, and Eric. Ethan. You came to the family, he treated you like family. Trying to figure out some stories to tell is also very hard. I actually been texting Cassidy a little bit about some of these stories. It seemed like for the longest time, it seemed like once a month, me, Cassidy, Abby, Brady, and Cheyenne would stay all night at Granny and Papa's house. How they managed to keep all of us there at one time with half them being under the age of 5, I will never know. But they managed to do it. There would be times that Pat would be falling asleep on the couch. Cassidy, me, somebody would change the channel to something we wanted to watch. He'd wake up and said, "Why did you do that?" Or I was watching that.
Not to Sean and I too.
Okay, not the only one.
No.
He'd always take us outside to play basketball. And then as we got older, faster, he got older and more slow. He'd tell you that. We quit playing one-on-one and he would play us in a game that he knew he could beat us in. Cow, horse, pig. He wanted to win so bad. He didn't care about our feelings at that age. He wanted to win. Cassidy and Abigail especially tell you that. He wanted to beat his grandkids, no matter what. And he did it to the kids too. And the siblings. Anybody, how many people in here have something that happens to them? Quite a few people in here have something that he made. I remember in the summertime I would come up here for a week at a time. I also spend about a week with my Papa Jack as well and my mamaw. And we would always spend the whole week making a birdhouse. We'd work all week on that birdhouse. I'm sure some of them's probably sitting on my granny's porch right now as we speak. I know one of them's on my mom's porch still. We'd make those things. Work with our hands, paint it, mess it up every once in a while. I remember specifically, more so, I'm sure most of you know, last summer I lost my son Josiah. That affected Saul. I remember my dad telling me he'd never seen my papa cry before. At that point he did. I remember the first time he held him. I didn't hear this from him. He had just had surgery on his shoulder. My granny kept telling him, "Now let me hold him, let me hold him." He said, "No, I'm holding my grandbaby." Talk about his heart. I remember there was an opportunity. My dad, my mom, and Emily's parents came to Cincinnati. My granny and papa were there too. And they came in an emergency situation, and the hospital was so nice enough because of COVID guidelines. I'm sure we're all tired of hearing that right now. They let my dad and mom, her mom and dad back in. Her mom and dad brought her 2 sisters up. They were worried about leaving them in the car. My granny and Papa specifically told my in-laws, "Go meet that grandbaby. Watch the girls." Looked after them so they get the opportunity to meet Josiah. That's something that always resonated with me. He truly never met a stranger. He treated everyone like family, no matter who you were. There's in-laws in here that can say it. There's significant others, fiancés in here that can say it, that you were part of his family no matter what. I did bring up a couple of verses. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, beginning with verse 14. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Jesus will God bring with him. I remember the night my papa passed away, coming home from the hospital. I remember, well, first off, at the hospital, after Kelly told us the news, the first thing she said to me was, he's with Josiah now. I lost it. She lost it. So we all lost it. And then when we got home probably about 11:30 at night, we were sitting on the couch. Emily was, I can't remember what she was doing, but she was in the kitchen or dining room. And outside we had wind chimes, and someone got us after Josiah passed away. And they just started going crazy. Emily looked at me, said, she smiled and said, Josiah's telling us, look who's here. Look who's here. And I lost it there too. Because my papa, my dad's a teacher. He's inspired many people, and we've seen that through here. We've seen hundreds and hundreds of people come through here. See the impact that he's had on people. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that legacy. I'm very proud that through my Savior Jesus Christ, I'm going to see my papa again one day. The one thing I wish I inherited from my papa was his voice. My family's chuckling and laughing because they know it's true. I did not. And you know what, Kelly? He would be the first one to tell me that too.
I thought you said it.
So I'm not going to sing a song. And that's one thing I was going to say. Us grandkids, as kids, be so proud of every single one of us. One more story, and now I'll be quiet and let everyone else get back to it. The day before Papa passed away, he was at my house, talking, telling stories. Anyone who knows Papa knows he told stories multiple times, sometimes with a new twist at the end, but we never got tired of hearing them either. But right before that, my son's headstone came in. We was able to get it put up. Granny and Papa hadn't got to see it yet. So after everyone left, they followed us out to the cemetery. And I remember they saw it, they were in awe of it. My granny was standing right next to it. My papa brings out his phone and takes a picture. He said, and I quote, "And get a picture of my smoking hot wife." And at that point, I grabbed him by the shoulder. I said, "You get your butt up there too." I'm glad I did. That picture with my son's headstone was the last picture that anyone ever took of him. I'm proud I took that picture. And I have one more story, and I promise I'll be quiet. I put this on Facebook a couple weeks ago. Where my son's buried is out by Rock Hill Schools, and I was coaching a baseball game out there. And my granny and papa were coming down to support me because they've been locked up in a house for, seems like forever with COVID. So they're just so glad to get out of the house for anything, it seemed like. They called Emily and they said, "Oh, we want to go see Josiah first." And we said, "Okay, well, meet us at the school and then I'll drive you all out there." When they got there, my granny reached in her purse and pulled out something and gave me my pat. And I want to know whose idea this was. I can already think it's probably Patrick's. It was yours. I was wrong. They put it down right before his headstone came in and said, "We wanted them to know that Granny and Papa were here." It was a little Cookie Monster toy that came from a Happy Meal at McDonald's. I'm probably sure when one of us were kids growing up, I'm sure that's where she found it. Oh, you got it? Since then, that thing's never tipped over. Except for one time. It was the first time we went off cemetery after Papa passed away. We lost it. And we said, "It's Papa and Josiah in heaven, probably having a good time." Late see a man leaves is very hard, but I'm glad to be friends. Thank you.